Welcome to the Casuals Guide to UFC 301 Pantoja vs Erceg, where I show you filthy casuals why this card is going to be a banger. We have the flyweight title on the line, the return of the King of Rio, one of the most exciting fighters in and out the cage, veterans versus prospects. It's a lot to get to, so smash that like button and let's get right into it. In the main event, Alexandre the Cannibal Pantoja defends his flyweight title against the surging Steve Astro Boy Erceg. Pantoja is 27-5 as a pro and is 11-3 in the UFC so far. He is on a crazy run right now. He is currently on a 5-fight win streak where he would capture the title and defend it too. He started his run to the title with the win over Manel Kape that has aged like fine wine. He would follow that up with a rear naked choke win over Brandon Royval, and he would make a huge statement when he would submit Alex Perez in the first round via rear naked choke. This electric finish would be enough to earn him the next shot at the title, and he would take on the flyweight champion Brandon Moreno, and in a closely contested fight, it would be Pantoja who would get his hand raised to become the new flyweight champion of the world. He would be set to defend his title for the first time against a familiar foe in Brandon Royval. His first defense would be successful as he would win a unanimous decision. He has looked great so far and would try to continue his reign against Steve Erceg. Steve's arrival into the UFC would be on short notice when he would be thrown into the deep end when he was matched up with David Dvorak, who at the time was ranked number 10. He would look super impressive as he got the better of David on the feet and on the ground to win by unanimous decision. And he would be matched up with Matt Schnell, but Matt would pull out and Alessandro Costa would step in on short notice. He would go on to win that fight by unanimous decision. In his most recent fight, the fight with Schnell would be rebooked and he would get a huge highlight knockout when he landed a huge left hook that floored Matt Schnell. This fight was a barn burner for as long as it lasted, and it was enough to earn him the shot at the title. He is 12-1 as a pro with 2 wins by knockout or TKO and 6 by submission. It has been a quick run to the title for him, and no doubt Steve is solid and skilled enough to be among the ranked fighters, but we don't truly know where his skill level really is at, and he is getting a title shot while he is ranked number 10 in the division. He is only 28 years old, so this might be a little premature, or maybe it's right on time. Will Astro Boy be able to defy the odds and blast off to the top of the flyweight division, or will the Cannibal devour another contender to continue his flyweight reign? Don't miss out. In the co-main event, the number 14 ranked bantamweight Jonathan the Dragon Martinez welcomes back the King of Rio when he takes on Jose Jr. Aldo in Brazil. Martinez has quietly been rising up the rankings. He is a very quiet guy, but his fighting does all the talking. He is 19-4 as a pro and has gone 10-3 in the UFC so far. His first couple of years in the UFC were up and down. He went 4-3 with losses to Andre Silkumtath, a decision loss to Andre Ewell, and a knockout loss to Davey Grant. He did have some great wins, a knockout win over Frankie Sins, and a dominant decision win over Thomas Almeida. After the knockout loss to Davey Grant, Jonathan would hit a different gear, going on a 6-fight win streak. His streak started off with 3 unanimous decision wins over Zviad Lazavishvili, Alejandro Perez, and Vince Morales, and he would get a sweet matchup with UFC veteran Cub Swanson. This was his breakout fight for the casual viewers, as Cub is a well-known name, and he would impress with the TKO finish when he would land non-stop leg kicks that would end the fight. He would follow that up with a great decision win over Said Nurmagomedov, and in his most recent fight, he would be matched up with fellow bantamweight prospect Adrian Yanez. This fight was fun for as long as it lasted, but he would once again get another TKO finish via leg kicks. This guy might have the hardest low kicks ever, as he does so much damage with them. Him and his teammate Chris Gutierrez are some of the hardest kickers in the UFC, but his hands are also no joke. He has a good jab that he loves to fight behind, but he is taking on his biggest challenge yet in Jose Aldo. Aldo finished his MMA career with a decision loss to Merab Dvalishvili. He would retire after this fight, and don't get it twisted, he hasn't just been laying on the couch since then. After his retirement, he would pursue boxing, going 2-0 with 1 draw. He has been in the gym continuing to train. I think his return was fueled by his desire to fight in Brazil one more time. The King of Rio was the WEC flyweight champion, and when the WEC was bought out by the UFC, he became the UFC flyweight champion and would hold the belt for the next 10 years. He had some great defenses against Chad Mendes, Frankie Edgar, Ricardo Lamas, the Korean Zombie. After dropping the belt and having a rough time at featherweight, he would make the decision to drop down and fight at bantamweight. At bantamweight, he would continue to prove that he is top caliber when he would get wins over Marlon Chito Vera, Pedro Munoz, and Rob Font. The King of Rio is a Hall of Famer who at 37 years old still has some left in the tank. He is far from washed. Will Martinez march into enemy territory and prove that he is an elite bantamweight? Or will Jose Aldo be able to slay the dragon and prove he is still the King of Rio? Don't miss out. We get a super fun middleweight matchup when the number 13th ranked Paul Bear Jew Craig takes on the number 15th Caio the Natural Borralho. Paul Craig is a former light heavyweight who made the move down to middleweight. He has gone 1-1 at middleweight so far. He made his middleweight debut against a tough grappler in Andre Muniz, where he would find the TKO finish in the second round when he would be able to out-grapple him. In his most recent fight, he would face off against Brendan All-In Allen, where he would go toe-to-toe with him in the grappling department, but it would not be enough as he would get submitted via rear naked choke in the third round. Although he got submitted, Craig is a huge submission threat. 13 of his 17 wins have come by submission. When he was at light heavyweight, he was known for his dangerous grappling. He locked in a buzzer beater submission when he submitted Magomed Ankalaev via triangle choke with 1 second left on the clock. He has a triangle choke submission win over Kennedy Nzechukwu, a TKO win over Jamal Hill where he would dislocate his elbow with an armbar, and a triangle choke over Nikita Krylov. He is so dangerous on his back, you can never be safe in his guard. His grappling is elite, but his striking is not really where it needs to be. He has been matched up with the surging prospect Caio Borralho. Caio's much more well-rounded, and him and his team, the Fighting Nerds, take pride in fighting very smart. The Natural is 15-1 with 1 no contest and has been perfect in the UFC so far, going 5-0. He earned this contract on the Contender Series when he would get a first-round knockout TKO over Jesse Murray. He made his UFC debut against another prospect in Gagio Magadziev. He would dominate this fight, but things would end in a funky way when an illegal knee by Caio would end the fight. But since the fight was well into the third round, it went to decision, and it would be a technical decision win for Caio. He would follow that up with back-to-back decision wins over Arman Superman Petrosian and Mahmoud Makhmuradov. He would get a submission win via rear naked choke when he would match up against the heavy-hitting Mikhail Olajaychuk. In his most recent fight, he would dominate Abus Magomedov to earn a unanimous decision win. He has looked great in his fights. His striking is good. He is patient and very light on his feet. He can wrestle and is a big submission threat. His grappling is solid. This fight is going to be fun wherever it goes. Both guys have great grappling and we are in for a good time. Will Paul Craig be able to bounce back at middleweight and prove he is still a threat? Or will Caio Borralho continue to rise up in the rankings with a great win here? Don't miss out. We get a classic veteran versus prospect matchup in the light heavyweight division when number 10 ranked Anthony Lionheart Smith takes on the number 15 Vitor Petrino. Lionheart has been a staple of the light heavyweight division for a long time now. He truly has fought everyone that was thrown his way. He is 37-19 as a pro and has gone 12-9 in the UFC so far. He's coming off a brutal knockout loss to Khalil Rountree Jr. He does have some great wins over Ryan Spann, Jimmy Crute, Devin Clark, Alexander Gustafsson, Volkan Ozdemir, Shogun Rua, and Rashad Evans. He is a heavy-handed striker who has decent grappling too. He is a great finisher. He has 19 wins by knockout or TKO and 15 by submission. Only 3 of his wins are by decision. He's going to look to stop the momentum of the surging Vitor Petrino. Vitor is a 26-year-old Brazilian who has been on fire in the UFC so far. He is undefeated as a pro at 11-0 and 4-0 in the UFC so far. He earned his contract on the Contender Series when he would knock out Rodolfo Bellato. He made his UFC debut with a unanimous decision win over Anton Turkalj. He would follow that up with a third-round submission via arm triangle choke over Marcin Prachnio. He would get his highlight when he would knock out Modestas Bukauskas with a check hook that floored him. In his most recent fight, he would win a unanimous decision win over Tyson Pedro. He has looked impressive, but there have been moments every now and then when his experience has shown. But overall, he's pretty well rounded, and a win over Smith would be his biggest win yet. Will Vitor Petrino be able to get his biggest win yet when he faces off against Anthony Smith? Or will Lionheart continue to prove that he is still a force to be reckoned with? Don't miss out. We get a fun middleweight matchup when the super entertaining Michel Demolidor Pereira takes on Ihor Dules Potera. Michel was originally going to face the heavy-hitting Mahmoud Muradov, but Mahmoud pulled out due to an infection he got during training. It sucks to lose that matchup because it was going to be fireworks, but even though this new matchup might be a downgrade, it's only a slight one. Michel Pereira is one of the most fun fighters I've ever witnessed. He is super athletic. You might recognize him from his crazy moves inside the cage or his crazy moves outside the cage. He is 30-11 with 2 no contests as a pro, and he has gone 8-2 in the UFC so far. He started his UFC career at welterweight, where he has some great wins over Danny Roberts, Zalimi Madaev, Chaos Williams, Nico Price, Andre Fialho, and Santiago Ponzinibbio. He would make the move up to middleweight and would continue his success. He would get back-to-back first-round finishes against Andre Petroski and Mikhail Olajaychik. He would be looking for another finish against late replacement Ihor Potieria. He is 21-5 as a pro and has gone 2-3 so far. He has bad knockout losses to Nicolay Negumereanu, Carlos Ulberg, and Rodolfo Bellato. He does have a good win over Mauricio Shogun Rua, and in his most recent fight, he would win a unanimous decision over UFC newcomer Robert Berzek. He has 9 wins by knockout or TKO, 7 by submission, and 5 by decision. This is going to be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. Will Ihor be able to play spoiler on short notice, or will Pereira once again show why he is such an entertaining fighter? Don't miss out. Alright guys, that was my rundown of UFC 301 Pantoja versus Erceg. I hope you casuals learned a thing or two. A couple other fights to look out for are Joaquim Neto BJJ Silva versus Drakkar Klose. Joe Anderson Brito takes on Jack Shore. And we get a banger when Elvis Brenner takes on Mikdebek Orobay. Mauricio Rufy finally makes his UFC debut against Jamie Mullarkey. We finally get to see Ismael Bonfim take on Vince from Hell Pichel. It's going to be a great night of fights. Don't forget to tune in. I'll see you next week for UFC Fight Night Lewis versus Nascimento. But until then, protect your neck and take care.
They talking crazy about you. They said
brother,
they smash you.
who cares? Who cares, brother? Who cares, brother? Who cares? Today, smash.